Paulie here on the Latino Slant. Thanks for coming on by and checking out this very special video. If you're not yet subscribed, make sure you are. And if you are, go ahead and tell 100 of your closest family members about the Latino Slant. And have them subscribe now. I'm going to give you our heavy spoilers review of the film The Blue Beetle. And I'm going to give you four reasons and then one con, actually two in one, why I think Blue Beetle is worth your time. Let's go to the first one. Superhero origin story. Well, there's been a lot of talk about, yes, superhero fatigue. And I get it. I've been part of it. I feel you. I'm with you. I've even not watched several films because of that. So what this movie does is tell an origin story. And because it has to do that, I think the filmmakers in their vision know what is against them. And they tell it with just a fun attitude, a playfulness, and a youth that has that great energy as far as where is my place in life. So the superhero origin story of Jaime Reyes and the Blue Beetle is pretty simple. And this is really the story of the movie. Jaime comes home after graduating from Gotham pre-law to his world being completely turned upside down. They're having trouble holding on to the house. Rent's gone up. Learn his father is in bad health, and they lost the automotive business. So he takes upon himself. We're going to save the house. Everything's going to be great. I'm going to get a job. It's not working out like that. He does find a connection upon meeting Jennifer Cord, who is Jenny Cord, who is the daughter of Ted Cord, and a happenstance run-in to where she offers him a job. He's like, great, I'm going to get this job at Cord Industries. I can turn everything around. Well, little does he know that she's trying to save the company and from it not being such a kind of war-making machine industry, taking advantage of all that. She wants to turn it around and go back to her dad's vision of what this company can be. She, in fact, steals the scarab and hands it off to Jaime without him knowing it. Well, he takes this scarab back home. The whole family was like, open it up. And it's a scarab. And guess what? The scarab picks Jaime. He doesn't want it. He obviously doesn't want it. He's not ready for all this power. His family doesn't know what this power is, but they love and believe his family. So this unique storytelling of an origin is that Jaime not only suffers amazing tragic loss in this film, and we'll get to that, but he has to decide what kind of man he wants to be. A man who is going to accept this responsibility and take it upon him with the backing of his family, or run away and cower. And yes, it sounds like a lot of other superhero origin films. Well, movies and comic books, that's the trope. They stick to it in that sense. They don't veer off. So to me, it's fun, it's refreshing, almost plays to a younger audience, but I was totally along for the ride. And that is the superhero origin story, the comic book legacy from Dan Garrett to Jaime Reyes. It's all in this film. They not only do they pay homage to Ted Cord looms large in this film, to the point where if there is going to be another Blue Beetle film, you're going to see Ted Cord. Now, also, they talk about Dan Garrett. And it's interesting because upon discovering the secret lair of Ted Cord with Jaime and Jenny and Uncle Rudy, played by George Lopez, Uncle Rudy is kind of taken aback because he never knew that Ted Cord was the Blue Beetle, where he even says, man, that was our superhero. That was Palmera City's superhero, was Ted Cord's Blue Beetle. And he's kind of like, man, this was my guy. And what happens is that he hacks into the uncle hacks into the computer, and we get information that Ted Cord was under the tutelage of Dan Garrett. And Dan Garrett basically, Uncle Rudy gives the history of the comic book within a quick speech. And I loved it because I got everything I needed to know. And I knew it also too pays homage to the 1939 Blue Beetle all the way to the Curly Hammer Blue Beetle iteration of Jaime Reyes. And I was really, really along for the ride. There's also Easter eggs from the very get-go. You get Easter eggs in the opening montage where you see the Blue Beetle scarab coming and crashing into Earth, and how there's these kind of like pre-Columbian connections to where the scarab was actually worshipped and honored in pre-Columbian. I don't know if it was Aztec or if it was Mayan, but it was very kind of like just, connected to the fact that that's where it landed and that it's his history here on Earth. I loved it. Fantastic. And of course, Susan Sarandon and her people at Ted Cord Industries finally have found it from all this digging and kind of like pillaging of the different lands that they've been trying to find it, because she wants to make money off of war. She wants to make war making scarabs, and not just one but hundreds. She wants to supply an army. So you have that connection with, that MCU Iron Man. You have that origin story with a little bit of Spider-Man. So if anything too, and I've said this in my non-spoiler review, this feels very much like a MCU Phase 1 origin film. And I'm, like I said, I'm along for the ride. It's fantastic. So to the comic book fans of Blue Beetle, they're going to be very happy as well. Creative vision from score to action sequences. Well, I firmly believe that director Soto and writer Alcocer had a lot to deal with in regards to not just telling the same origin story. You do that, and then you really fall to oblivion, and this movie becomes forgettable. They did the opposite. From the score, which was done by this gentleman that has scored Midsummer. He scored all these other incredible films. It is a synth. It's everything from synth to dark ambient to the colors, and I don't mean the colors of the family, like the ethnic colors or the language. I'm talking about the visuals of Palmera City, the visuals of Ted Cord and his lair. It was a kind of like a mishmash of Miami Vice, 80s grit to kind of this 90s, fun romp, and it looked great. This film looks fantastic, and the cinematographer again, uh, in connections with the score and the cinematographer composer both worked on the same films, Midsummer and all these other great artistic films. So it makes sense that look and feel is in sync. The stunt work is really cool, from kind of like a lot of kind of rolling and tumbles as far as martial arts that you may have seen before. They kind of just double up, and Jaime is discovering what he can do as well with being, getting connected to the scarab as we go along in the film. Now, I should have said this as far as maybe a con, but I will say that a lot of action sequences are in the dark, which says to me that they are maybe hiding some of their production. This movie was made from 90 to about 125 million, and some places you can tell, some where it's all in the light, especially when he's first flying. You can tell it's very computerized, but it looked cool. Again, I think because of the whole kind of color scheme of the film, it kind of balances that dark grit at night to this like ultra kind of like fun Miami vibe, and the action is it's just a lot of fun when he goes up against Carapax, and we'll talk about Carapax in a minute. Again, too, it's intense. It gets a little scary, but I don't want to again and spoil it for you. But I was very happy with the action sequences. I think you will be as well, especially in the second half of the film. It really picks up. In the trailer, you have seen the transformation, parts of the transformation. The full scene of the transformation is actually the beginning of him being taken over by Kajida, voiced by Becky G, and going into flight and going all over the city. Fantastic sequence. I really like that 10 minutes. I think it's about 10 minutes. It is really, really fun. Now, that first part of it, where he's transforming and literally horrifying his family, we feel that too. It was a little intense. And if not being counterweighted with some of the humor of what the family member is, how they're reacting, it would have been really dark. And I think another thing too with this creative vision, there is some dark tones as far as subject matter, violence, a little bit of language, but they never go too far. And I want to say that as well with their camp. The camp is there, but they never go too far. The jokes are there, but they never go too far. Most land for me, some didn't, but it's a nitpick for me. And that is my another reason why I think you would dig it, the creative vision. Now, let's get to the Reyes family. A lot has been said about the Reyes family and how it's really marks this movie as being something very unique. I would have to 100% agree. Why is this family such a selling point? Well, it's multi-generational. So you have the parents, you have the grandmother, you have the uncle, and you have the sister, and of course you have Jaime. They're so different from one another, representing kind of different aspects of family life. From the teenagers that just don't want to hear from the mom, or the grandmother who constantly blessing the kids, making sure they're good, to the uncle who just doesn't trust anyone. I think you'll find a part of your family in the Reyes family. Now, another reason why the Reyes family works, the actors. The actors are such a high caliber from Adriana Barraza to Demian Alcozar to George Lopez to Xolo Mariduena that they sell it to you. You believe their authenticity, their warmth, their love for each other, their humor, and sometimes their disdain for what's going on. But at the end, you're totally sold on them. Absolutely. And let me just say too, the mother, played by Elpidia Carrillo, if you kind of recognize her, she was in the original Predators and in Salvador from the 80s. She's had a great acting career, and it's great to see her in this movie as well. Um, so the Reyes family is a great selling point because what happens is that during this time, Jenny Cord has the opposite family experience with her just devious aunt, played by Susan Sarandon, to the disconnect of her parents. Her mother has passed when she was a little kid, and Ted Cord, her dad, has been missing for decades. So she hasn't had that, even though she has the affluence, the money, and all that stuff. She doesn't have what Jaime has, and that is that fantastic family, and she sees that. And what the family does, it asks, it includes Jenny into the family, and not only that, it includes you, the moviegoer, into the Reyes family that you just can't deny. And by the time the Nana kind of extends her hand out, we're with them. We are with them 100%. Now, there's been in the trailers you've seen the Nana with the Gatling gun. We will talk about her, and along with a lot of other kind of cultural and ethnic connections in this world vision, in a separate video, because I think it needs to be talked about. Here, we're just going over kind of why I think a general audience should really watch this. But again, it cannot be said enough, can't be understated enough that this entire family of actors, from Belisa Escobedo to the great Demian Alcozar, I love his films from Mexico, and I reviewed them here. It just can't be understated how just well cast this entire family is. And Bruna, who plays Jenny Cord, who kind of becomes part of the family. And two, spoilers, there's a great love interest between her and Jaime Reyes. Their chemistry off the charts. Great way to end the film. This young man puts in a fantastic performance. Now, he has gone on record stating that how important it was for him to up his acting game from Cobra Kai to this, where he just said you can't get away with just a charming smile at the end of scenes. So he took it upon himself to take more acting lessons, more coaching, and you can see it. Jaime Reyes is a young man who is in a is who's at a place of crossroads for him. The coming of age, and then seeing his whole life change in front of him. And the Jaime Reyes of the comic book was in the sense that once he got his powers, he just wanted to make sure he could be the best superhero. And I think we're going to see more of that hopefully in part 2. But the charm of Xolo Mariduena is my number one reason to see this film, along with these other reasons why I've stated over the last few minutes here, that you can't deny this man's likability, his charm, and his excitement and wonderment in who he is. His love for his family, his fear of the scarab, his discovery of his potential, and then just the excitement that he has in becoming the Blue Beetle. It is absolutely a star-making performance. Congratulations, Xolo Mariduena. Talk about the cons really fast. Editing and villains. The first half of this film is a little choppy. The pace is a little off. It's still enjoyable. I just want to just give you that little fair warning, and this is just my opinion. But it does a lot as far as just setting the scene of the origins and the family members. I think it does it well. I was having a great time, but I definitely felt an energy shift once he becomes the Blue Beetle, and that second half of the movie just takes off for me. Gangbusters. So there is a little bit of a pacing issue for me in the beginning. I would say the first 30 minutes, it's not unenjoyable. It's more of a nitpick, but again, I could be wrong. I could be right, but you decide for yourself. Now, the villains, yes, they are a bit cookie cutter. Susan does a great job of just not liking her. I would have liked to have seen a little more dimension to her. She just came off as just a kind of just a one tone of greed, and how she dealt with her employees, how she dealt with her niece, to where even when she's got this kind of relationship with Carapax, you don't believe her empathy at the end. Carapax is very interesting and could be more interesting. And I will talk about that in my in another video. So make sure you stay tuned for that. It's played by the great Raul Trujillo. He's got an interesting backstory, and there's a moment where Carapax and Blue Beetle they get together a few times to fight, and it's not until there is an agreement between Kajida and Jaime as far as giving this guy mercy at the very end that shows Carapax's humanity. Pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I definitely bought it. Other than that, it was a little cookie cutter. Other than that, so that is my review of the Blue Beetle. I recommend it. I'm gonna give it a 7.8 out of 10. Almost an 8. Almost an 8. Okay, so let me know what you guys think in the comments. Now, I know there's been a lot of talk in regards to, well, this is such an identity politics thing. This is you can enjoy it if you're not Latino. Absolutely 100% disagree. I'm going to tell you why in another video the Latinidad from the supernatural to the familia in regards to Blue Beetle and why it is unique on a world-class storytelling level. I hope you can check that video out. And until then, enjoy the film. Make sure you subscribe wherever you're at. Keep your slant. Fuerte. Gracias.